as the MC for South Asia and Middle East session. On behalf of International Women's Peace Group, or IWPG, I would like to warmly welcome you to the 2026 Global Women Peace Forum. Thank you for joining us from different countries and regions around the world. Your participation reflects our shared commitment to building sustainable peace through dialogue, cooperation, and women's leadership. Before we begin, I would like to make a brief announcement regarding the interpretation service. The official languages of this session are English and Arabic, and the session will be conducted in English. Interpretation will be available in both English and Arabic. To listen in your desired language, please click the interpretation button at the bottom of your Zoom screen and select either English or Arabic. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the session. Today's forum brings together women leaders, policymakers, educators, civil society representatives, researchers, and peace practitioners to discuss the peace challenges facing each region to develop practical policy recommendations together. This forum was designed with one simple but important purpose: to listen to the voices of women on the ground. Too often, discussion about peace begin at the global level and work their way downward. Today, we are taking the opposite approach. We begin with the lived experiences of women in each region because lasting peace must be built on an understanding of local realities. Every region has its own history, culture, social context, and peace building priorities. The challenges facing women in Africa are not identical to those in Europe. The realities of Asia Pacific differ from those of the Americas, while South Asia and Middle East each face their own unique circumstances. For that reason, meaningful solutions cannot be pit one size fits all. They must reflect the voices, experiences, and priorities of the women who know their communities best. At IWPG, we believe that sustainable peace begins with individual women. We believe that when one woman recognizes her own value and discovers her potential as a peace builder, her influence extends to her family, her community, her nation, and ultimately the world. This belief lies at the heart of IWPG's work, regardless of race, religion, nationality, social background, or culture. We strive to empower every woman to become a local peace builder, someone who voluntarily and independently contributes to building peace within her own community. After all, no one understands what a region needs more than the women who live there every day. That is why today's forum is intentionally open, interactive, and participatory. Rather than limiting participation to a select group of experts, we invite women from diverse backgrounds across each region to join this dialogue. Every experience matters. Every perspective is valuable. Whether you are a policymaker, a researcher, a community leader, or someone working quietly within your neighborhood, your voice has a place in today's discussion. Throughout today's session, I encourage everyone to participate actively, listen respectfully, and engage with an open mind. Let us not only identify the challenge we face, but only share practical solutions, successfully local initiatives, and recommendations that can inspire action far beyond on our communities. It is our hope that today's forum will connect women across different regions and backgrounds, strengthen mutual understanding, generate practical recommendation grounded in the realities of local communities. The ideas and recommendations developed today will not end with this forum. The outcome of our four regional forums will be brought together and published as the Global Women's Peace Recommendation 2026. IWPG will work to ensure that these recommendations are carried forward beyond today's discussion. We will share and amplify them through international platforms and in our engagement with government representatives, international organizations, civil society, and other relevant stakeholders. Through this process, we hope that the voices of women from each region will contribute for future policy discussion, inspire continued dialogue and cooperation, and lead to meaningful action for sustainable peace. Most importantly, we hope every participant leaves this forum knowing that her voice matters and that meaningful peace begins when local women are empowered to lead change within their own communities. Now, I would like to briefly introduce today's program. Today's forum consists of five parts. First, we will begin with the welcome remarks by the President of IWPG. Next, we will hear the two-panel discussion. The first panel will focus on identifying the most urgent peace challenges faces this region. The second, the second panel will explore practical solution, policy approaches, and model of cooperation. Following each panel discussion, we will be having a small group discussion to develop regional recommendation. Finally, representative from each group will present their recommendation before we conclude today's forum. We encourage everyone to participate actively throughout the program. To officially open today's forum, it is my honor to invite the President of International Women's Peace Group, or IWPG, Ms. Nayong John, to deliver the welcome remarks. President John, the floor is yours.
Distinguished guests, honorable speakers, and ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us from around the world. I am Nayong Chun, the president of International Women's Peace Group, IWPG. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the Global Women's Peace Forum today. Although we are connected through an online platform, we are united by something much greater than technology. We are connected by a shared hope that together we can build a more peaceful, more just, and more sustainable world. Thank you sincerely for taking the time to be with us and for bringing your experiences, perspectives, and commitment to today's dialogue. Today, the challenges facing our world are becoming increasingly complex. Beyond armed conflicts, we are confronted with climate change, rapid digital transformation, the spread of misinformation, forced displacement, widening inequality, and growing polarization. Women are also facing persistent barriers to their rights and opportunities, from gender-based violence, including digital violence, to unequal access to sexual and reproductive health and rights. At the same time, issues such as food, water, and shelter security, migration, and post-conflict recovery, environmental sustainability, digital inclusion, the rights of persons with disabilities, and the empowerment of rural women and women entrepreneurs continue to shape women's daily lives in different ways across the world. These challenges do not exist in isolation. They intersect, reinforce one another, and create increasingly complex realities for women and girls. As a result, enjoying a peaceful and dignified everyday life has become more challenging than ever before. That is why peace today cannot be built through a single solution or a single perspective. It requires multiple approaches, cross-sector collaboration, and above all, a deeper understanding of the realities people face in different fields of the world. This is precisely why we believe it is more important than ever to listen to regional voices. Women living in each community understand the challenges they face better than anyone else. They witness changes long before they appear in international reports. They experience this crisis before they become global agendas. And they often discover practical solutions long before governments or international institutions are able to respond. Unfortunately, the pace at which the international community reaches consensus is often much slower than the pace at which new challenges emerge on the ground. By the time global discussions lead to collective action, countless women have already been living with those challenges for months or even years. We simply cannot afford to wait. We need to hear what women are seeing, experiencing, and creating today, and ensure that those lived realities are reflected in tomorrow's international discussions and decisions. If we truly want sustainable peace, we must shorten the distance between local realities and global decision making. And the first step is to listen to the voices of women who are living those realities every day. At IWPG, we believe something very simple. Peace begins within people. Governments create policies. International organizations facilitate cooperation. But lasting peace is ultimately created by ordinary people who choose dialogue instead of hatred, understanding instead of prejudice, and cooperation instead of division. Women play a particularly important role in this process. We know that if one woman discovers her own value and embraces the values of peace, her influence extends far beyond herself. That is why IWPG invests in women, not simply because women deserve opportunities, but because empowering women is one of the most effective pathways towards sustainable peace. Through peace education, leadership development, and international cooperation, we seek to help women recognize that they are not only beneficiaries of peace, but builders of peace. Today's forum reflects that belief. Around the world, every region experiences peace differently. The challenges facing women in Africa are not identical to those in Europe. The realities of Asia Pacific differ from those in the Americas. South Asia and the Middle East face their own unique complexities. Yet one truth connects all of us. No one understands the realities of a region better than the women who live there. The solutions we seek cannot come only from outside. They must also emerge from the voices, experiences, and wisdom of local women themselves. That is why today's dialogue is so important. I also hope today's discussion goes beyond identifying problems. The world already knows many of the challenges. What we need now is greater courage to share practical experiences, successful approaches, and ideas that can inspire others across borders. Because every community has stories of resilience, and every country has women creating peace in their own way. Those stories deserve to be heard, and they deserve to shape international conversations. The discussions and recommendations developed through this series of regional forum will not remain here. I encourage each of you to participate today with sincerity, openness, and passion. Please listen carefully to one another. Please share your own experiences honestly. And when today's forum concludes, I hope you will take these conversations back to your own communities. Turn today's dialogue into tomorrow's action because each one of you is already an agent of peace. At IWPG, we also make this promise to you. We will bring together the voices and recommendations from all four regional forums and amplify them within the international community. They will also contribute to the discussions at the 2026 International Women's Peace Conference to be held this September in South Korea, where women's voices from every region will come together to shape future international dialogue and cooperation. So today's conversation is therefore not simply an exchange of ideas. It is the beginning of something much greater. Before I conclude, I'd like to leave you with one thought. Peace is a choice that each of us makes every day. And history shows us that lasting peace has always begun when ordinary people decide to become extraordinary builders of hope. I believe every woman joining us today already possesses that power, and may today's dialogue strengthen our shared commitment, deepen our mutual understanding, and inspire meaningful action for generations to come. Thank you once again for joining us, and I wish you all a fruitful and inspiring forum today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, President John, for your inspiring remarks. Your words have reminded us that lasting peace begins with each one of us. We appreciate your vision for strengthening women's leadership in building sustainable peace and for reminding us why today's dialogue is so important. Once again, thank you, President John. Before we move on to our panel discussion, let's take a moment to capture this wonderful gathering with a group photo. We'd love to see all of your smiling faces. So if possible, please turn on your camera and switch to gallery view. Let us all turn on our camera, please. When you're ready, look at the camera and flash your brightest smile. Hey, let us all smile and hold your pose for just about 10 seconds. Okay? While we capture this special moment together, I will begin the countdown. Smile. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much for helping us create a beautiful memory of today's Global Women Peace Forum. We will now proceed with our panel discussion. I would like to invite our distinguished panelists. We will hear first with Dr. Alrumisa Yacob, the Director of General of Human Rights Department, Ministry of Legal Affairs of Human Rights of Yemen, as she have another schedule to attend to. So let us all welcome Miss Alrumisa. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you today, to be with you in this meeting. Today, we will speak about developing a mechanism for enforcing international treaties and regional models for creating the remap of sustainable peace. So, disputed justice so from the policy making and also political researchers and civil society reasons. It's my pleasure today to stand before you today for the women for global peace from 2026 for exploring this vision under our guidance, the regional voice for sustainable peace. When we address the peace building and sensibility. We don't want waste of security or drafted laws or shortage of international trade and result in need for international legislative transfer about other things. The method is storming talks to society sensibility and protection of rights, the most vulnerable conflict zone. Like the prudential gap between the legal taxes, international trade, and the complex operational reality of the ground. They are most enhancing the whole academic and felt threats the truth. We cannot speak of sensible peace without organizing protection the most of volunteer groups and conflict zone. We are cannot achieve the protection without the peace of the women in this field. Please flip the slide another. The reason why the international and the resolution relevant to the building peace and protection of the rights of the most valuable remains that sensible without flexible enforcement mechanisms stands for the fundamental flaws that facts of enforcement mechanisms are oft drafted and en- encouraging inside the closed room so far so for that actual stockholders and operational reliability on the ground. We women local leaders, we are the women, the local leaders and the field partners. So from engineering and every framework that tools that agreement that lose their international laws fails that protect who that agreement affairs leading ultimate collapse and the process. A piece that to fill the protection drives as a society and accessibility. Next slide, please. So our paper that describe analyzing protection the gap between the legal framework and operational implementation, highlighting lived regional models that have successfully created political path, implementation and achieved that with international committees that regional models drive to particular scientific from their capacity building to clear the bridge for transaction stakeholders, women leaders, and local organizations from tracks all diplomatically that tracks transforming them from the advisors into primer to actors and decision makers and for the official political process to offer and inspiring the global and regional models. Consider the liberation leader Lemmy to we mobilize those women to display the person across the divide enforcing conformity to protect and Lawrence successfully using the power of the ground to force swaying and parties, including the track. Negotiating ending the civil work, the model beautifully that align with the compelling experience. Ethical social capture that and holding the act for accountability for to link the international committees with the building sensitivity and executive strategic under the umbrella of international law. Our paper presents the methodological roadmap based on linking operational mechanism with flexible and scalable tools structure around three key barriers. First, the
the priority institution field model, and the second, the exploiting quota and increasing the 30% of presenting women and 20% the minimum and the maximum of the youth. And the third, the logically building accountability represent.
Please, slide 5. The conclusion, the international and the UN resolution will never forget peace on their own. They remind
And stress and forces from the reality of women and local parties. Our call action today, serious transaction from the community, it close rooms into the open world to
directly felt. Let's link the text between who live in the ground.
let's empower the women and the stakeholders from most effort groups, leaders
To the genius
protection from them, and let's build together the peace that is realistic, sensible for all by the international humanitarian law.
Thank you everyone for the listening.
Thank you for your presentation and reminding us how women's were important to be empowered. Thank you so much once again, Miss Alromisa. We will proceed with our first panel discussion. Our first panel will focus on identifying the most pressing peace challenges facing the South Asia and Middle East region. Our panelists will discuss the current conflict and peace issues affecting their communities, the impact of these
Thank you
challenges
everyone,
on.
but I have like
Yes,
I
po.
have like an poor connection and I have like some work to do. I will be like going out and I will back
Inshallah, soon in another meeting.
Yeah, so
um
thank you so much po, Miss Jacob. Yan. So thank you so much once again to Miss Alrumisa Jacob. So she need to go right now since she have some urgent matter to attend to. All right. So our panelists will discuss the current conflict and peace issues affecting their communities, the impact of these challenges on women and society, and urgent actions needed to address them. Before we begin, I would like to make a small request to all our speakers. We know that each of you has valuable insights to share, and we truly appreciate your expertise. However, due to time constraint, we kindly ask that you keep your presentation within the allotted time of 6 minutes. This will ensure that each speaker has an equal opportunity to share their ideas and help us to keep the program on schedule. Thank you very much for your understanding and cooperation. And now, I would like to invite our distinguished panelists. Our first speaker is Dr. Gada Krem Ata, the former minister of the Ministry of Displaced Person in Lebanon. Please join me in giving her a warm welcome. Dr. Ata, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity. And I'd like to just one. Okay. I'd like to sorry. Can you hear me, please? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Distinguished guests, imagine a woman in a conflict zone. She wakes up not to stability, but to uncertainty. No safety, no electricity, no medicine, and yet her day begins the same way. She provides, she cares, she holds everything together. Now, imagine that when the war slows down, when discussions begin, when decisions are made about the future, she disappears from the room. Not because she lacks experience, but because the system was never designed to include her. This is not one woman's story. This is the reality of millions of women across conflict affected regions today, across the world from America, Europe to Eurasia and beyond. We see a persistent pattern. In times of war, women step forward. In times of decision, they are pushed back. This is not anecdotal, it's systemic. Between 1992 and 2019, as cited by UN, women made up only 13% of negotiators and just 6% of mediators in major peace processes worldwide. At the same time, when women do participate, the impact is measurable. Peace agreements are 35% more likely to last at least 15 years. So the issue is not capacity, the issue is exclusion. More than 2 decades ago, the international community acknowledged this reality through United Nations Security Council Resolution UNSCR 1325, calling for women's full participation in peace and security. But today, implementations remains uneven, fragile, and often selective. And also, in times of crisis, when power reshapes the priorities, women's rights are among the first to be compromised. This creates a growing gap between legal commitments and lived realities, a gap that undermines not only gender equality, but the credibility of democracy itself. Because women's rights are not a secondary issue, they are a test of whether our systems truly function. Allow me now to move from the global to the personal. I come from Lebanon, a country navigating ongoing war, economic collapse, political instability. In Lebanon, women are not absent from public life. They are central to it. They lead in healthcare, education, civil society, and humanitarian action. They sustain communities through crisis. They contribute to diplomacy and are involved, often behind the scenes, in sensitive discussions related to regional stability, including matters involving Lebanon and Israel. They are present, active, and effective. And yet, when you look at formal political representation, the gap is striking. In the Lebanese parliament today, out of 128 deputies, only 8 are women. Yes, just 8 women in our parliament. This is not a reflection of competence. It's a reflection of structural barriers. For decades, Lebanese women's organizations have advocated for a minimum 30% quota in political representation, a demand first raised as early as 1999, as you know. But today, we must ask a broader question. If 30% is necessary in parliament, why doesn't not apply to peace negotiations? Why are women still excluded from most of the tables where the future is decided? Because peace, my friends, is not only about ending conflict. It's about designing what comes next. And the future designed without women is inherently incomplete. Lebanon is not an exception. It's a reflection of a wider global reality where women carry responsibility without being granted equal power. So, the question before us is not whether women should be included, but what will make inclusion irreversible. We need structural guarantees, not voluntary participation, accountability, not symbolic commitments, and political will that recognizes women as decision makers, not just contributors. The cost of political exclusion is not theoretical. Why? Because women's groups often push for community level needs education, healthcare, reconciliation, not just power sharing between elites. That builds deeper roots for peace. And also, a peace deal that includes diverse voices is more likely to be seen as fair. When women are excluded, it signals that the system is still unequal fuel for future grievances. My friends, distinguished guests, peace without women is not sustainable peace. It's only a temporary silence. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gada. Thank you for sharing your valuable insight and inspiring us to continue advocating for more inclusive and sustainable peace building. For our next speaker, Ms. Heba Haidar from Yemen, the founder of Global Shapers Aden Hub. Please join me in welcoming her. Ms. Haidar, you can now share your slide presentation. The floor is yours. Once again, Ms. Heba Haidar. All right, let's all welcome once again Ms. Heba Haidar from Yemen, the founder of Global Shapers Aden Hub. Please join me in welcoming her. Ms. Haidar, you can now share your slide. The floor is yours. All right.
Hello. Hello.
Yes po.
I am sorry. The voice was muted. Uh, I think it was muted from you. Anyway, thank you for this opportunity. Um, my name is Hiba Fahim. I'm the Global Shapers founder in Aden. Um, Let me first introduce Yemen and Aden before I speak about peace. The place that shaped my story. I come from Aden, a historic castle city in southern Yemen for centuries, and Aden has been one of the world's oldest natural harbors and an important crossroad connecting Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. Its identity has always been built on diversity. People from different cultures, religions, and backgrounds lived, worked, and traded together, making Aden a symbol of openness. Like many places in Yemen, Aden has endured years of conflict, economic hardship, and political instability. Yet, beneath these challenges, the city's greatest strength has remained unchanged: its people. The resilience of its communities, and especially its women, continues to inspire hope and rebuild social trust every single day. That is the Aden I want to share with you today. When people think about peace, they often imagine fires, negotiations, or political agreements. But in Aden, we have learned something different. Peace is not built only in conferences rooms. It is built in classrooms, in neighborhoods, in volunteering initiatives, in small business, in communities, and community centers, and very often it's built by women. Today, our community continue to face enormous challenges: political instability, economic crisis. As many of you heard in Aden, we are deeply in economic and political crisis. But women often carry its heaviest burden. They become uh, very courage. They protect families, they support their communities, and despite all this, they remain strong, and they have strength and leadership and decision making skills. In Yemen, conflict destroys more than buildings. It damages trust, and when trust disappears, communities become divided. Young people lose hope, fear places dialogue. People begin defining on another by differences instead of shared dreams. This is why rebuilding infrastructure is often easier than rebuilding relationships. Peace cannot survive without social uh, without strong social communities. Aden has always been home to women who quietly shaped societies. One of them was Noor Haider. Uh, she is an inspiring example. Noor Haider, she is my grandmother, and she is one of Yemen's pioneering educators. She understood that education is more than teaching children how to read. Education teaches people how to think, how to respect differences, and how to become reasonable citizens. This woman was the first woman in Yemen that called for families to make them agree that women should start, and that should their daughters should start reading and start educating and go to schools. So she built the first school in Aden. Um, and Her legacy reminds us that investing in education is investing in peace. Today, many women continues this legacy. Myself, I was inspired by her, and I try to follow her steps. So not only inside schools, but through community initiatives, volunteerism, entrepreneurship, and local leadership. I also make before 1 year I make an event called TEDx Noor Haider School. So this was specially for her, and to know more about her. So through my work with Global Shapers, now I will move to my work. Global Shapers Aden organization. I make a startup weekend, youth initiatives, and women leadership. Startup weekend was specialized for women, and I have witnessed something remarkable. um, I don't want to be my presentation to be very long, so I will try to make it shorter. From my experience, sustainable peace requires investing in people before projects. Three lessons have guided our work. First, investing in women as leaders, not only in beneficiaries. Second, create opportunities where young people collaborate around shared goals instead of political identities. And third, strengthening local community institutions, become peace grows from communities upward, not only from political agreements downward. I have so many to tell you more, but I think I have to give the chance to other colleagues. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and I will I'll be happy to hear from the other women in this room. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your meaningful insights and for inspiring us to continue empowering women and young people as agent of peace, Miss Hayder. Thank you so much po. So let us move on to our next speaker. But we kindly ask that you keep your presentation within the allocated time of 6 minutes. Let us move on. Our next speaker is Miss Fauzia Coffee from United Kingdom, the President of the Board of Women for Afghanistan. Please join me in welcoming her, Miss Coffee. You can now share your slide. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm delighted to be in this important platform. Thank you for Global Women Peace Forum for organizing and bringing pioneers of peace from our region, from Asia, but from across the world. It is a very important topic, women inclusion in peace processes, their support in peace building initiatives is a much needed agenda, much needed initiative today more than ever before. If you look at the world, we are living in a time that last year the world actually witnessed 15 conflicts. But if you look at the participation of women, there is a decline globally in participation of women in peace initiatives and in WPS agenda. In 2016, women participation, including in the negotiation table, was, according to the World Bank and according to the UN Women, was 16%. However, now that participation has declined to 7% across the globe. If you look at the photos, the pictures, the peace initiatives that are pursued, most of them are, without women. We all agree that the inclusion of women in peace processes bring sustainability to the peace agreements, make them, long lasting. And that's why in Afghanistan, we try to include women in the peace process. We struggled for that. As the Deputy Speaker of the Parliament in Afghanistan, I work with civil society and with the other politicians, with women movements, to ensure that there is a women inclusion in the peace process between the government of Afghanistan and the Taliban before 2021, which was before the collapse of Afghanistan to the Taliban. It was not easy. It's never easy for women to be in the room anywhere in the world. It's a global phenomenon. But in Afghanistan, it was even more difficult, because when we were knocking any door to request our leaders or request the international community to include women in the peace processes, the response we got was that we haven't made an important decision. Once we make the important decision, we will let or we will include you. But the point is, women need to be part of the decisions. The decisions should not be made on their behalf. Yeah, so we managed to create a women movement where we brought civil society together to media, youth, social groups, etc. Finally, we were able to include 4 women in the negotiation. And I was happy to be one of that. It was a historic move to sit across the table with Taliban, a group that do not see women as equal rights holder. But to see across the table from them, it was a huge responsibility. I think we women, when we are in the room in the negotiation, we carry 3 responsibilities. First, we
want to represent our communities, our constituents. Second, we want to represent the women and their demands and their agenda, and the feminist agenda, and the women peace and security agenda. And third is the country. We want to represent the country, so we have more responsibility comparing to the men in that room. And our responsibility in the peace negotiation that was with Taliban was also huge. We were able to, include four women. But I think the issue starts from when the women are in the table, in the room. Inclusion of women is one step, but meaningful participation throughout the process is another issue. And I think it's important that women, once women are in the room, we need to make sure that they are supported, that their voices are heard, because often we are regarded as a token representative. Representative. Once we are included, they think the box is ticked. Then it's fine that as long as woman is there, they can talk about women rights. We are being marginalized to talk about women rights and about soft issues, while we are there to talk about security of our country, to talk about economy, to talk about our country, to talk about a comprehensive peace agreement, and not only about women rights. I think it's important that we represent women. It's important that we talk about women rights, but it's also important that we talk about the comprehensive peace agreement, the elements of security, the elements of economy. But often, when women are included, their role is limited to speaking only about women rights, and they're left by themselves. And I think it's sometimes dangerous because, first of all, we need to make sure not just a woman is included or any woman is included. We need to make sure, as civil society, as women movement, that the right woman is there, that the right woman speaks her mind. And secondly, when the woman is there, we need to make sure to support her to talk about comprehensive peace agreement. So my challenge as negotiator was to ensure that we are in the table, we are included, we are listened to, our voices are listened to. And it was not easy, I must say, not only with the Taliban as a group, that you can imagine, do not respect any identity of women, but also within our own negotiation male colleagues. But I think with persistence, advocacy, with consultation with civil society, it was COVID time. We were doing online consultation with women across Afghanistan, with main civil society. While we were in Qatar, in Doha, for the negotiation, we were doing online consultation. We constantly fed the negotiation agenda and included their voice, which I thought actually added a lot to our legitimacy. But the peace process did not go the way we wanted or we had expected it. Because the peace deal was already signed with the Taliban before we negotiated. So the Taliban already thought that they were the victory group, and as a result, they returned to power and the peace process collapsed. I believe if there were more women in the peace negotiation, and I believe if the women were actually listened to, the outcome of the peace process would have been different. Today, women in Afghanistan suffer the consequence of the collective failure of international community, and those who made the decision to talk with Taliban, not include Afghan government. But we are still continuing to work on this, women, peace, and security. I, through my organization, organize dialogues, bring different groups of Afghan women and men to talk about the future of their country, because I believe, the job is not done. I believe we need to still pursue a political process where women will not be included, but they will lead. I think we need to ask for leadership now, not just for inclusion. So we are leading a political process, hopefully that will result to a peaceful settlement in Afghanistan where women rights will be preserved, because what's happening in Afghanistan, I'm sure you all know, I don't need to tell you about the problems women face in Afghanistan, but what's happening in Afghanistan is absolute apartheid against women, and I think it requires collective action. Once again, I thank you, the Global Women Peace Forum, for the opportunity. And if there is more time, I would like to share more, but I want to keep my intervention limited to the 6 minutes. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry for joining a little late. I'm traveling in a different time zone, and I'm now joining from a very early morning, actually. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your courageous and deeply moving presentation, Miss Coffee. Thank you so much. For our next speaker, let us move on with Dr. Lamia Al-Eryani, the head of president of Yemen Peace School Organization. Please join me in welcoming her. Dr. Eryani, the floor is yours.
صباح الخير جميعا. أنا سعيدة جدا بوجودي معكم اليوم وأشكر مجموعة
Good morning, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. I thank IWPG for bringing me here. I will talk briefly about the role of women in Yemen, and it will be summarized with main points. Next, please. Next slide, please.
طيب السؤال الأول الذي يفرض نفسه في هذه الورقة
The first question that we need to ask
خارطة الطريق ولماذا المصالحة الوطنية
is why do we need
على واقع الحال في اليمن
to have
نجد
peace?
أنه لا يزال هناك صراع مستمر ولا تزال
Today,
هناك
if we
تداعيات
check the
إنسانية
situation of
واجتماعية
Yemen,
لهذا الصراع مؤثرة كثيرا على المجتمع.
there's years of
بحيث أن
war
نلاحظ أن هناك تراجع
that have
الثقة
resulted
بين
in
الأطراف
extensive human losses,
والانقسام المجتمعي يتوسع أكثر وأكثر
profound economic
وبالتالي هناك حاجة
and
إلى
social
مصالحة وطنية شاملة
deterioration and political and
تتجاوز موضوع وقف
societal
الحرب
divisions
ووقف إطلاق
that
النار
have directly
إلى ما هو
affected the
أوسع
cohesion of
وأشمل.
Yemeni society. The
وبالنظر إلى
consequences
أن
of the
النساء
conflict have extended to
شركات أساسيات في
infrastructure,
بناء السلام
institutions, social
فلا بد أن
relations,
تكون
and
لهن
mutual
أدوار
trust among
مهمة
local
في المصالحة
communities.
الوطنية
In this
كخطوة أولى
context,
نحو السلام.
national
Next,
reconciliation
please.
emerges as one of the most important
الخارطة التي
pathways towards
وضعتها
achieving
ترتكز
sustainable
على
peace.
الرؤية تقول نحو مصالحة وطنية شاملة ومستدامة تضمن المشاركة السياسية الفاعلة وتعالج انتهاكات
However,
الحرب
its success requires an
وتعيد
adoption
بناء
of a
الثقة
comprehensive
والتماسك
approach that
المجتمعي في
recognizes all
اليمن.
victims.
ترتكز الخارطة على مجموعة من المبادئ اللي هي الشمول وعدم
International
الإفصال أحد،
experience has
السعي إلى تحقيق العدالة
demonstrated that
والإنصاف
women's participation in
للمتضررين
peace processes is
والعمل
not
على
merely
المشاركة
a response to
الفاعلة
the principle of
للنساء
equality,
والمشاركة
but a key
المتساوية
factor in
باحترام
increasing the
التنوع
inclusiveness
وحقوق
of peace
الإنسان
agreements and improving their prospects
وجعل
for
أولوية مصلحة
sustainability.
المواطنين
To achieve
والمدنيين
comprehensive and
هي
sustainable
المرتبة الأولى.
national
Next, please.
reconciliation that guarantees women's equal and meaningful
سأتحدث في
participation
هذه الورقة
addresses
عن
the
خارطة
consequence
الطريق
and
النسوية
violation of the
للمصالحة
war, rebuilds trust and
ومراحلها
social
اللي هي
cohesion, and
بناء ثقة
establishes a just state
والحقيقة والاعتراف
founded on
والعدالة
the rule of law
الانتقالية
and equal citizenship.
المشاركة السياسية المتساوية للمرأة
The
التعافي
roadmap is based on the following
وإعادة
fundamental
الإعمار
principles:
الاجتماعي.
inclusiveness and
Next, please.
non-exclusion, justice and equity,
سأتحدث
women's full
الآن
and meaningful
عن كل مرحلة
participation,
على حدة.
rejection of revenge,
بالنسبة
and
للمرحلة الأولى
promotion
وهي
of
بناء الثقة
restorative justice,
بترتكز على 3
respect for
مسارات.
political, regional,
أولاً يجب
cultural,
على
and
النساء في خارطة
sectarian
أن
diversity,
يسعين إلى مناهضة والحد من
prioritizing
خطاب
civilian
الكراهية
protection and human
من
rights,
خلال تشكيل
national ownership
شبكات ربما
of
لسفيرات
reconciliation
السلام
process,
من
respect for
خلالها
international
تستطيع
human
النساء أن
rights law
تقوم
and international
بعملية
humanitarian
مراقبة
law. This phase
للخطاب
constitutes the
الإعلامي
essential entry point for any
وخطاب
national
الكراهية والعمل
reconciliation
على الحد
process,
منه
as it is difficult
بشكل
to move
كبير
towards truth and
والسعي
justice
أيضا
without
إلى
minimum
الدعم
level of trust
والمناصرة
and
لقضايا
communication among
المصالحة
the parties
وبناء
and
السلام في
affected
اليمن.
communities.
مهم أيضا في بناء الثقة أن تسعى المرأة اليمنية إلى تعزيز الحوار
The paper
المحلي
proposes three
والسياسي
complementary
مع
tracks:
كافة شرائح المجتمع
reducing hate speech.
وتعزيز التواصل
This
بين
can be
هذه
achieved through
المجتمعات.
establishing a national network of
المرحلة
women peace
الثانية في
ambassadors
الخارطة هي
composed of
الحقيقة والاعتراف،
influential women from
بمعنى
different
أنه يجب
governments
أن تكون للنساء
governorates, and backgrounds, and training them in dialogue, mediation, conflict management, and conflict resolution, establishing women-led media committee to monitor hate speech in the media and on social media platforms, and to issue periodic reports and professional recommendations, implementing training programs for male and female media professionals to promote discourse that supports reconciliation, producing media and humanitarian content that highlights the suffering of civilians and stories of coexistence and community solidarity.
التي تركز على جبر الضرر وضرورة معالجة العنف القائم على النوع الاجتماعي الناتج عن هذه الحرب والتركيز على
This can
حقوق
be achieved through establishing local women dialogue circles that include women from different political and social groups, focusing on shared daily concerns such as education, healthcare, water, and protection of women and children as entry point for building trust, organizing informal dialogues with political forces to bring perspectives closer together on humanitarian issues, encouraging local mediation and linking dialogue to practical outcomes that benefit communities.
جدا للمرأة في هذا الجانب وأيضا الإسهام في الوساطة المحلية والمصالحة الوطنية. Next please. المرحلة الخامسة هي التعافي وإعادة بناء النسيج الاجتماعي والتي ترتكز بدورها على 4 محاور.
Fifth step is recovery and rebuilding the social fabric. Reconciliation is not completely merely by ending the conflict, it also requires addressing its social, economic, and psychological consequences. The priorities under this pillar include supporting small businesses, providing education and training, establishing women's cooperatives, expanding access to microfinance, supporting women heads of household, widows, and displaced women.
والعمل على تضمين الدعم النفسي والاجتماعي في كافة مراحل المصالحة الوطنية.
Supporting cultural and artistic initiatives, preparing women leaders in community mediation.
هنا حتحدث سريعا عن آلية التنفيذ بالنسبة لهذه الخارطة. تشكيل لجان نسائية محلية للمصالحة.
So what are the implementation mechanisms? Establishing local women's committees for reconciliation and recovery, creating community funds to support economic initiatives, building partnerships with the government, local authorities, the private sector, and international organizations, implementing sustainable capacity building programs in leadership, mediation, and conflict management, adopting gender-sensitive monitoring and evaluation mechanisms that measures the impact of programs on peace and social cohesion.
واحتمالية الوصول إلى بناء السلام. خفض الاستقطاب للجماعات المسلحة.
Reducing polarization in hate speech. Increasing women's participation in peace processes and decision-making. Improving victims' access to transitional justice. Supporting economic recovery of women and affected families, building the foundation of a more sustainable and inclusive peace in Yemen. Building sustainable national reconciliation in Yemen requires moving beyond addressing the manifestations of the conflict towards addressing its structural causes. It also requires establishing an integrated framework that brings together confidence building, truth seeking, transitional justice, political participation, and community recovery. Women are essential partners in all these processes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your insightful presentation, Dr. Al Ariani. Your insight have shown us that reconciliation is not only about healing the wounds of the past, but also about building a future where every voice is valued. For our next speaker, let us welcome Ms. Huda Al-Katawi from Iraq, a peace and women rights advocate. Please join me in welcoming her. Ms. Al-Katawi, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. It is an honor to be a part of 2026 Global Women Peace Forum. Today, I will share my perspective on the most urgent peace challenges in my region. their impact on women and girls, and how women's leader and meaningful participation can contribute to building sustainable peace. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Next, please. Next slide. Okay, thank you. Actually, I made my presentation. It's so much like that I highlighted on the important points to be short for only 6 minutes. The first one is the most urgent peace challenges in my country, Iraq. The first point is community tensions and social division, employment and poverty. The third one, misinformation and hate speech on social media, and displacement and migration. And another point, it's limited opportunities for young people, especially girls. And another point, increased risk of gender-based violence and limited access to education and employment, especially for women, and greater psychological stress in our country, because as you know, in Iraq we had and we still have many wars and conflicts in our area. And the last point is less participation in decision making and peace building. Next, please. The impact of women, the impact of these challenges of women, it's an increased risk of gender-based violence, especially in many areas in our Iraq, especially that areas suffering from war, from conflicts, from poverty. And the next point is limited access to education and employment, greater psychological stress, and less participation in decision-making and peace building, increased exposure to violence and psychological trauma, and loss of education and livelihoods, and limited access of justice. And another point, it's barriers to political participation in our governments in Iraq, and greater caregiving and responsibilities for women and girls. Next, please. Why are these challenges difficult to resolve in our country? Because long-standing political and social conflicts, economic instability, lack of trust between communities, and weak of cooperation among institutions, and limited resource and funding, especially the funding that for the local NGOs, the local NGOs that especially these local NGOs that working for women rights, and weak of institutional capacity. The capacity, I mean that for the NGOs and the government institution, and political instability, economic crisis, social norms, limited women leaders, and insufficient implementation of UNHCR 1325, Women, Peace and Security. And the last one, need for strong cooperation between government and civil society. Next, please. Okay, the possible solution for these challenges is promote dialogue and social cohesion, empowering women and youth, improve education and employment opportunities, strengthen community participation, and support peace building initiative. Next, please. Conclusion, its peace begins with respect, equality, and cooperation. Everyone has a role in building a safer and more peaceful community. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your inspiring message and for your commitment to advancing peace in Iraq, Miss Huda. Thank you very much. Now, let us proceed to our next speaker, Miss Vishaka Masankar from India, State Head of Bharatiya Sri Sakti Samutana. Please join me in welcoming her. Miss Mashankar, the floor is yours. Miss Vishaka, you can mute yourself. You can unmute. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Good morning, everyone. We can do it. India's journey from Naxal violence towards peace and development. Respected chairperson, distinguished guests, women leaders, peace advocates, delegates from across the world, and my dear friends. Warm greetings from India. It is a privilege global forum under the inspiring theme We Can Do It. These four simple words can carry the extraordinary power. We can do it. Is not only merely a slogan of confidence, it is a declaration that no conflict is permanent, no challenge is insurmountable, and no community is beyond the reach of peace. Next slide, please. Next slide. Today, I would like to share the story of how India is confronted one of its longest running internal security challenges, the problem of left wing extremism, commonly called as Naxalism, and how determined governance, courageous security personnel, inclusive development, and community participation have brought the country remarkably close to overcoming it. Next slide, please. For several decades, Naxalism affected large areas of central and eastern India. It was especially active in remote forested and tribal regions where poverty, geographical isolation, and lack of infrastructure, limited access to government services created deep insatisfaction. Extremist organizations attempted to exploit these difficulties. They promised justice but delivered violence. They claimed to represent vulnerable communities, yet many of their victims were themselves tribal people, villagers, public servants, and security personnel. Roads were destroyed, schools were attacked or prevented from functioning, development projects were obstructed, families lived in fear, children grew up surrounded by insecurity instead of opportunities. At one stage, the Naxal movement had influence across a vast stretch of country described as Red Corridor. It appeared to be a challenge that could continue indefinitely. But India decided that fear would not determine its future. India said, we can do it. Next slide, please. The transformation did not happen through one policy or one operation, nor was it achieved by security action alone. India adopted a comprehensive approach combining security development, community participation, protection of tribal rights, and rehabilitation for those who renounced violence. Next slide. According to official figures, left-wing extremist violence fell dramatically between 2010 and 2025. Thousands of cadres surrendered the most affected districts, returned to peace and development. Next slide. The lesson is clear. Defeating violence requires both firmness and compassion. schools, roads, healthcare, livelihood, and women's leadership are essential to lasting peace. Next slide. India's experience offers 5 lessons. Security and development must advance together. Trust of local communities is essential. Rehabilitation matters. Women and youth must lead peace building, and sustained political commitment is indispensable. Distinguished delegates, peace is not simply the absence of gunfire. Peace is presence of justice, opportunity, dignity, and hope. Let us make we can do it more than the theme we can be only one forum. It must become our shared promise. Next slide. Together with women leading and communities participating, let us proudly declare we believe in peace. Next slide, please. We will work for peace. We will never surrender to violence. And together we can do it. Next slide, please. How can we do it? We can protect our children from violence. We can empower women as leaders of peace. We can bring isolated communities into the journey of development. We can rehabilitate those who abandon the path of destruction. We can replace hatred with understanding and conflict with cooperation. Peace is the promise we make today for the generations of tomorrow. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation, Miss Mashankar. We can do it. Thank you so much. Our next speaker, let us welcome Miss Amira Al Jamal from Jordan, founder and chairperson of the Supreme Council, Our Step Association. Please join me in welcoming her. Miss Al Jamal, the floor is yours.
نعم معكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أنا رح أحكي عن فئة شوي مغيبة اللي هي النساء اللي محتاجين أكثر حماية. الأشخاص ذوي الإعاقة وخاصة النساء ذوات الإعاقة النفس الاجتماعية لأنهم شركاء في بناء السلام المستدام.
Part of building the sustainable peace. Next slide, please.
الرسالة الرئيسية اللي حابة أوصلها
The main
إنه
point I
ما
want to
بنقدر
deliver
نحقق
to
سلام
you
مستدام وشامل
is that
بدون
we cannot
مشاركة النساء الأقل حظاً وخاصة النساء ذوات الإعاقة النفس
fulfill the
الاجتماعية
sustainable
في
peace
عمليات صنع القرار
without the
والحوار مع
participation
أصحاب
of
القرار.
women.
الانتقال من الرعاية للمشاركة والقيادة
without the participation of women with
الاعتراف بالصحة النفسية كجزء
psychosocial
من الكرامة
disabilities in dialogue
والعدالة
and decision making.
وتحويل الخبرات المجتمعية إلى توصيات قابلة للتنفيذ
Moving
وضمان
from
توصيل
care only to
صوت
partnership
النساء
and
إلى
leadership,
مساحات
recognizing mental health as
صنع
part of
القرار.
empathy and justice,
وهذا اللي
transforming
عملناه
community
إحنا
experiences into
بجمعية
actionable
خطوتنا بالنسبة
recommendations,
لرسالتنا
ensuring
فيها.
women's voice reach decision-making spaces.
الثاني أغلبك.
Next slide, please.
نبذة عن جمعية خطوتنا بتعمل
About
بالأردن.
our
هي
STEP
بتعزز
Association.
حقوق
Our STEP
الأشخاص ذوي
Association in
الإعاقة
Jordan works
ضمن
to
الاتفاقية
promote the
الدولية
rights of
لحقوق
persons with
الأشخاص
disabilities,
ذوي الإعاقة
support mental health,
والقانون الأردني لحقوق الأشخاص
and empower
ذوي
women
الإعاقة اللي
and the most
بيعتبر
marginalized groups.
الصحة النفسية جزء من أنواع الإعاقة وبنعمل على تمكين النساء
The
والفئات
association's
الأكثر
work
عرضة
is
للتهميش.
based on
بركز
a right-based
عمل
and
الجمعية زي
community-based
ما
approach
حكينا
that
على
links
الحقوق
for
بنربط
those who
الكرامة
have
المشاركة
disabilities,
الحماية بنعمل على دمج
that links
النساء
dignity,
وهذا الجميع
participation,
بيؤدي
protection, and
لبناء
inclusion and
السلام زي
peace
ما احنا
building.
بنحكي إنه
as we
السلام
speak now,
الداخلي والنفسية المرتاحة أكيد بتؤدي للسلام العالمي.
peace, the internal
هدفنا
peace
إنه تكون
and
النساء شريكات في
good
الحلول،
mental health is very
مو
important
بس
for
مجرد
world
مستفيدات
peace as well.
من خدمات الجمعية.
So our goal is for women to be partners in
وراها
solutions, not just beneficiaries of services. Next.
التحديات اللي بتخلي النساء ما
The challenges
تشارك، طبعا عندنا تحديات بتزيد
stop
بوقت
women from
الأزمات،
participating
وعندنا
sometimes.
تحديات من
We have
المؤسسة
two
يعني
kinds
الاجتماعية.
of challenges.
العنف والتمييز والإقصاء،
Challenges that
بنعرف الوصمة
increase
كيف
during
يتم
crisis
الإشارة
and social
للنساء ذوات
institutional
الإعاقة وخاصة
challenges.
النفسية، الضغوط النفسية والاجتماعية،
We have violence, discrimination,
الوضع
and
الاقتصادي،
exclusion, psychosocial
ضعف
pressures,
الحماية والدعم
economic
المتخصص
vulnerability,
سواء من
weak protection,
المحيط
and
الأسري أو
specialized support
المحيط المؤسسي، الغياب
from the government
البيانات
and from
المراعية
families
للنوع
as well,
الاجتماعي
lack of
والإعاقة.
gender and disability
بنقدر نقول
sensitive
إنه
data.
قلتها وليس غيابها غياب كامل. في تحديات
It is
اجتماعية
not completely
ومؤسسية.
absent, but
طبعا
it is lacking a lot.
أكثر إشي إحنا
And we
بنعاني
also have
منه
social and
الوصمة
institutional
الاجتماعية،
challenges.
وإنه أغلب اللي
We have the stigma and fear
بيعانوا من مشاكل
of
الصحة النفسية
disclosure.
بخافوا يفصحوا عن هذا
And these
الموضوع، وهذا
people
الإشي
who
بيأثر
struggle
عليهم
mentally, they struggle a
زيادة
lot to
بعدم
share
الراحة
and
النفسية. الصورة
talk about
النمطية
this because of the
اللي
stigma.
ماخذها المجتمع إنه النساء
We have
ذوات
the
الإعاقة ما
stereotypes
بيقدروا يوصلوا
about
لصنع
leadership
القرار أو
abilities
القدرة على
that women
إنه
are not able
يقدروا
to take
يكونوا في مركز
decisions
قيادي.
and lead and be
ضعف
in a position of
التمثيل
leading.
بالحوارات
We also
العامة
have the
طبعا
poor
بسبب النقطتين
representation in public
الأولانيات اللي
discourse,
حكيناهم، ومحدودية
just like the
الوصول
two previous points,
للمعلومات والخدمات.
and limited access to
Next.
information and services. Next, please.
شو علاقة الصحة النفسية والسلام؟
What is the
السلام مش
relationship
بس
between
إنه
mental
ما
health
يكون
and peace?
في نزاع.
Peace is not just the
السلام إنه
absence of
أنا أشعر
conflict.
بالأمان
It is a
داخلي،
feeling of
الأمان مع
safety,
أسرتي، الأمان
dignity
بمجتمعي، أحصل على
in my
كرامتي الكاملة
family, in
حسب
my
حقوق
society,
الإنسان، أقدر أشارك في المجتمع من غير
to
خوف
be
أو
able to
تمييز.
participate in my
الدعم النفسي
society
الاجتماعي
without
هو اللي
being
بيزيد الثقة
afraid
والتماسك، وهذا من
and without fear
البرامج
or
الجمعية
discrimination.
عندنا. الحصول على العدالة بقلل
So
التوتر والعنف بين
in our
الأفراد.
NGO, we have
المشاركة
psychosocial support
للنساء بتعطيهم
that
مساحة أكثر
fosters
إنه
trust and cohesion.
يعملوا على التأثير ويحققوا الحماية.
We have
إيجاد
justice
الحلول الشاملة بتخلي السلام
l-
أقرب
that
للواقع بين
reduces the
الناس.
tension and violence. Also,
Next.
our women participate in many spaces
بالنسبة
to influence
لجمعية
and protect
خطوطنا،
themselves.
المنهج اللي بتتبعه عشان تقدر تحقق السلام، احنا
About
طبعا عندنا
our
أخصائية
SEP
نفسية
Association's
بالجمعية بتعمل
methodology
على
for building
الاستماع
comprehensive
الآمن،
peace,
بتفهم الاحتياجات الحقيقية للنساء،
safe listening and understanding of real needs,
بتقدم العلاج المعرفي السلوكي مع
knowledge and
التمكين
right
المعرفي،
empowerment,
التمكين الحقوقي.
advocacy, and conveying the voice to decision makers
بنعمل حملات مناصرة عشان يوصل صوتنا أو صوت النساء ذوات الإعاقة
for
لصانعي
all
القرار.
women
بنبني
with
شراكات بين
disabilities to
المجتمع
make decisions,
والمؤسسات،
building
وبنحول
partnerships
الدروس
between the
المجتمعية إلى
community and
توصيات
institutions, and
عملية
as well as
ومرفقة
transforming
للدولة
community
وأصحاب
lessons
القرار.
into practical recommendations for
Next.
the government. Next, please.
بالنسبة لنا ضمن هاي التجربة، الدروس اللي استفدنا منها في الأردن،
The lessons that were learned
أنا
from this
عشان
experience
أخلي المرأة
is
تشارك
for me to let women participate.
بفعالية لازم أسمع، لأنه ما بقدر
I
أنا
need
أفرض
to
شو
listen to her.
الاحتياجات اللي بدها إياها المرأة،
I
بدي أنا
cannot
أسمع منها.
assume the need of the woman
اللغة
without
لازم
listening to her.
تكون موحدة، اللي هي اللغة الحقوقية،
We
لأنه هاي
need to
اللغة
have a
بتخفف
unified
من الوصمة
legal language
وتفتح مجال
that helps reduce stigma and
الحوار.
open dialogue.
النساء ذوات الإعاقة النفس
Women
اجتماعيا
with psychosocial
خبيرات
disabilities are
بمواضيعهم
experienced
وعندهم القدرة على القيادة، وفي عنا أمثلة كتير
and
بالأردن
have
بهذا
the
الموضوع.
ability to
الشراكات
lead
اللي بنعملها مع
and are empowered. We
المؤسسات
also have
والمنظمات
partnerships
بتخلي
that
الأثر
we
أكثر
make with
استدامة. طبعا ونشكر
associations
ال
and
IWPG اللي
NGO,
سمحت
and we
لنا
thank
نتكلم
IWPG
ضمن
for
هذا
allowing
المنتدى.
us to speak
قاعدتنا إنه
during
السلام يبدأ من الفرد اللي
this
بيعكس
event,
الأسرة والمجتمع
and we
المحلي
believe that peace
وبعديها
begins in the family
بنتطرق
and local
للسياسات
community
العامة.
that extends
يعني مختصر
to
مفيد
public
لما بنحكي
policy.
فيش سلام شامل بدون عدالة
So
وفيش
there is no
عدالة بدون
comprehensive
مشاركة
peace without
الفئات
justice and
اللي
no
المجتمع
justice without
بيقصيها
participation
وبيطلع لها
of
بصورة نمطية.
previously excluded groups.
Next please.
Next slide, please.
بالنسبة لتوصياتنا إحنا كجمعية
For the
خطوتنا
policy
عشان
recommendations for
نعمل سلام
promoting
مستدام
sustainable
إشراك
peace
النساء ذوات
is to
الإعاقات
include women with
المختلفة
psychosocial
خاصة
disabilities
النفس اجتماعية في لجان الحوار وصنع القرار
in dialogue and
تمويل
decision-making
برامج
committees,
الدعم النفسي
to
الاجتماعي
fund
اللي
community-led
بتقودها
psychosocial
المجتمعات
support
المحلية
programs,
تدريب المؤسسات على
to
النهج
train
الحقوقي وعدم
institutions
التمييز
on a right-based
حماية
approach and
النساء من العنف
non-discrimination,
والوصمة
to protect
والحرمان من
women from
الخدمات
violence, stigma, and
تحويل
denial of
النماذج
service,
المحلية
to
الناجحة إلى
translate
سياسات
successful
عامة قابلة
local
للتنفيذ
models into
قياس
actionable
الأثر من
public
منظور الكرامة
policies,
والمشاركة
to
وليس من
measure
منظور
impact from a
الخدمة
dignity and
والرعاية
participation perspective,
فقط.
not just a service perspective.
Next. ختاما رسالتنا
For the closing
الختامية لما
message,
النساء تشارك
when women
ذوات الإعاقة النفس
with
اجتماعية في
disabilities
القرار وصنع
participate in
القرار
decision
راح
making,
يصبح السلام أكثر عدلا
peace
وشمولا
becomes more just,
واستدامة.
becomes
شكرا
more
لحسن
just,
استماعكم
inclusive, and
وبتمنى إني ما
sustainable.
أكون
Thank you
طولت
for
عليكم.
listening, and I hope I didn't exceed the time.
Thank you very much, Miss Al Jamal, for your inspiring presentation. Our next speaker is Miss Batul Kasmi from Pakistan, an educator mentor. Please join me in welcoming her. Miss Kasmi, the floor is yours.
I hope my voice is clear to everyone. Distinguished Chair, respected moderator, and honored delegate, I am honored to be here today. And it is an honor to participate in this important forum and speak on this topic of strengthening the role of women for national development. While my presentation draws examples from Pakistan, the realities I discuss today resonate across South Asia and many regions of the world. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Women in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Afghanistan continue to make extraordinary contributions to their families, as you can see, communities and economics, and often despite significant social, economic, and political barriers. We see that women are working tirelessly in the economic and contributions of women in one of the South Asia's greatest untapped opportunities. Millions of women contribute through agriculture, home-based business, family enterprise, education, healthcare, unpaid care work. Next slide, please. Yet, much of this contributions remains invisible in national statistics. When unpaid care is ignored, economies underestimate women's true contribution. Technology is also opening new opportunities. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Women entrepreneurs are increasingly using online platforms to establish business, access markets, and create employment opportunities. Microfinance in previous slide, please. Previous slide, please. Excuse me, previous slide, please. Women entrepreneurs are increasingly using online platforms over here, like microfinance initiatives and financial inclusion programs are enabling women to invest in education, healthcare, and community well-being. And research consistently shows that women control financial resources, families experience better health outcomes, improve educational attainment. Yet regional disparities still exist. Comparatively, in the rural areas, still the women are struggling, and in urbanization or in the urban areas, they're still getting more political participation is equally important. Women representation in decision-taking part in politics, yet only 8% of the cabinet positions. Their presence ensures that the public policies reflect experiences and needs of the entire population rather than only half of it. For this reason, increasing women's participation is not simply about representation, it is about moving the quality of decision making itself. I would like to share an iceberg model with you. Next slide over here. Please, next slide. As next slide, please. Please, next slide.
I think, Miss Battle, we have some technical difficulties.
Oh.
So it will be shown in your screen.
Okay.
A little longer.
Okay. I have actually designed an iceberg model that teaches us that when we see, because what we see above, basically on the tip of the iceberg, is the lower, as you can see, lower labor force participation, wage inequality, underrepresentation in leadership position, and other such issues. But these are the symptoms that appears in reports, statistics, and policy discussions. However, beneath the surface, we need to look into the deeper parts that apply the patterns, the systems, and produce these outcomes. Many women leave employment after marriage or motherhood because workplaces lack childcare support or flexible arrangements. Women remain concentrated in informal and lower paid sectors with limited protections and fewer opportunities for advancements. Access to finance, property, ownership, digital technologies, and professional networks remains unequal. Even deeper are the structures and mindsets that shape these realities. Across many societies, caregiving responsibilities continue to fall down as leadership is often unconsciously associated with men. Women's mobility, decision making, financial independence may be limited by social expectations rather than the ability over here. So, if we focus only on the visible systems above the surface, inequality will continue to reappear. Sustainable change requires us to address the structures and beliefs beneath the iceberg model over here. Next slide, please. Despite these challenges, women across South Asia continue to lead transformative change. Women are often the first responses in communities during crisis. As many of my friends have already shared their views about it, they organize health campaigns, support education initiatives, manage household resources, and create informal systems for vulnerable families. In Pakistan, women play central roles in healthcare, education, agriculture, and community development. Across Bangladesh, women's microfinance initiatives have transformed that economies, local economies over here. In India, women's self-help groups have strengthened financial inclusions. Also in Nepal and Sri Lanka, women have contributed significantly to peace building and post-disaster recovery efforts. These examples demonstrate and true. Women are not waiting to be empowered. Women are waiting to get proper opportunities and remove the barriers that can show their best potential. They're already leading. The responsibility of the governments and institutions is to remove the barriers that prevent the leadership to reaching its full potential. Next slide, please. Next slide. Now, again, over here at the surface level, governments should strengthen equal pay legislation, enforce anti-harassment laws, and support greater representation in leadership roles. So at the structural level over here, we must expand childcare facilities, improve safe transportation, increase access to financial services, and strengthen women's property in inheritance rights. At the deepest cultural levels, long-term transformation requires gender-sensitive education, leadership mentoring, positive media representation, and the active engagement of men and boys as partners in change. These interventions align closely with the Sustainable Development Goals, as you can see over here 1, 4, 5, 8, 10, 16, and 17. Most importantly, they align with the vision of IWPG that sustainable peace cannot exist without women's full participation. It is an economic issue because economies cannot thrive by excluding half their talent. It's a governance issue because institutions become stronger when all voices are represented. It is a development issue because families and communities benefit directly from women's leadership. And above all, it is a peace issue. Next slide, please. Uh, Peace is not merely the absence of conflict. Peace is the presence of dignity, justice, opportunity, and inclusion. Father of Peace has said that peace is not the absence of war, it's the presence of justice. When women participate equally in society, communities, and become more resilient, and nations become more stable. Allow me to conclude with this thought that when women rise, communities rise. When communities rise, nations prosper. And when nations prosper, peace becomes sustainable. Next slide, please. Women's empowerment is not only a gender issue, it is a peace issue, a development issue, and human security issue. Sustainable peace cannot be achieved while half of the humanity remains excluded from the decision making. Next slide, please. And I thank you for giving me this opportunity, International Women Peace Group, to share my vision over here.
Thank you so much, Miss Kasmi, for your inspiring and powerful presentation. Thank you so much. We now down to our final speaker for today's forum. It is my great pleasure to introduce Miss Maria Haji Pablu, a retired professor from University of Cyprus. Please join me in welcoming her. Miss Haji Pablu, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. And it's great pleasure and honor to be amongst such remarkable women from so many diverse cultures and regions. My presentation will focus mainly on a strategic intervention of a certain NGO that has focused on 1325, but not only. So next slide. Yeah, here, sorry, have to move this. Yeah, I put this map because and to see where the island of Cyprus is, very close to the Middle East, very close to Africa, also above Europe and so on, this side. So why do maps are important? Because geopolitics for all our countries, I think, define a lot of our history, of our politics, of issues of development, issues of interstate relations, and also issues of women and yes, and women's rights. Now, next. Yes, I come from Cyprus, which has been deeply divided since 1974 into North and South. And the history of this division goes back to competing nationalisms where, you know, two competing visions were fighting for to whom Cyprus belong, what Cyprus should be. And militarism, so according to a lot of the statistics, Cyprus is considered to be one of the militarized island countries in the region, and also the structural issue, which is patriarchy, and each of these forces sustain each other. So within such an environment, civil society is called upon to challenge a lot of these polarities and also inequalities. Next. Now, there have been, as I said, a lot of civil society movement since in the 80s, actually, late 80s, and especially more after 2003, when the crossings across the Green Line opened and people could cross to and fro. There was one of our goals as Hands Across the Divide and also gender advisory team was to gain our right for direct contact and communication. So the gender advisory team was formed in 2009 by academics, activists, civil society, and also conflict resolution practitioners. Now, the most important work that we did was to bring to the general discussion women, peace, and security resolution, which we try to integrate in all our interventions, especially regarding the peace negotiations. To this day, no woman has sat at the negotiating table on an equal status as men. So, but women have been doing all the work in the background, preparation, and also papers, statistics, information, research, but they're not visible. Next. So I claim that one of our success as a civil society NGO, as a group of women from all communities, is the strategy we have used to promote women's ideas and views on peace and gender equality. And we used the multi-level strategy. That is, we worked on all three levels. Why all three levels? Because we believe for a conflict system, in order to start moving and breaking down the icebergs, we need interventions from all levels and also to be in constant dialogue. So the one will inform the other. And in this way, we felt that the system and policy recommendations, policy changes can be more inclusive and more holistic. So we worked at the macro level with decision makers, especially negotiators and their advisors, sharing all our recommendations about how to integrate gender equality provisions in all issues at the table: power sharing, citizenship, property, economy, education, security, etc. Then we worked at the meso level with all the stakeholders, starting from the UN good offices, the diplomatic community, international NGOs, and finally at the micro level with other women's NGOs, both locally and regionally, practitioners, and also we reached out to individuals with different expertise according to our project or it needs. Next. Now, some of the policy recommendations we made, which derive from a lot of our research, and especially our research on dialogues amongst women from all communities, because it's not just Greeks and Turkish Cypriots on the island. There are Armenians and Maronites, and there have been Latins and other communities that have been lived here for centuries. So we did a project on dialogues amongst all these constituencies of women. Now, one of the things that they all ask is that women are absent from the media. When issues have been discussed, the panels are very male dominated. So having gender sensitive journalism and media engagement in peace projects is very important for us. Increase visibility of women within the Women and Peace and Security agenda, and also establish trauma and psychosocial support, because we've been living separate, and a lot of historical grievances and trauma have piled up. So we need these services for women across communities, and not only, especially in the villages, where patriarchy is even stronger and deeper. Address also and monitor gender-based violence and structural discrimination, strengthen women's participation in political and public decision-making. We only have, in the last election, we made a progress. We have 11 members in the parliament now, whereas before only 8 out of 54. So this shows also the asymmetry in the legal in the legal discussions of rights. Promote transparency. The negotiations should be informing the wider public where we are. So transparency is very important, as well as accountability of the public institutions. Today, a lot of people do not trust institutions. Support education. Already this aspect has been mentioned, how important is to building a peace culture, to build a new mindset from a conflict society into a peace society. And of course, economic policies, because many of the economic projects and development focuses on issues that do not benefit across board, also including women. And finally, invest in gender-sensitive human security policies. And in our research, we found that peace for women, especially in the rural areas, refers to their everyday life. Do I feel safe to walk in the streets late at night? Will I have a job? Will I have access to education and health? Will I have electricity tomorrow? And so on. So we also brought out the differences of how human security is being understood in all the communities. Next. And my final thought is that peace building and gender equality are part of reconciliation and socioeconomic development. And of course, we cannot have democracy without peace, and peace without democracy. Multi-track and long-term process entail the participation of both men and women to prepare our societies for peaceful and free of fierce coexistence. Research has shown that across community contacts and joint activities build trust, smooth out misperceptions, challenge ethnic stereotypes, and facilitate our reconciliation processes. Today, the global social, political, and economic conditions exacerbate regional and international security. We are challenged to move toward collaborative solutions, build regional networks And I think this forum might be the beginning, of sharing all these experiences to realize our interdependence, and also that in a new world order, women's experiences and contributions can really make a difference. Next. Here are some of our publications. We did develop, excuse me, I had a bit bad cold. A training guide for facilitators from all communities, and the 1325 recommendations we published in Turkish, English, and Greek. So it is available broader in the public. Next. And peace and gender equality are interlinked. Peace is too precious to be left to men alone. I remember one project we did, we listed 192 different definitions of peace for Cyprus. So you can imagine the breadth and the inclusivity that this concept provides for us to work on. And never doubt, and this has been one of my motto, that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. And here I will put women. Indeed, it's the only thing that has ever been done. The future is what we do now, today. Thank you. If we have time, I would like to show three of the slides with photographs. Do we have time? Yes? No?
Yes, you can go on.
Okay, let's see some of our work in photos. Next. Here is at the grassroots, we had a project of Peace Paths where we went to all different communities across the island, having discussions in the community centers, in the coffee shops, and so on. And developing also local networks of leadership of women in their local communities. Next. And here a meeting with the international, the meso level, with the diplomatic community. Next. And here at the macro level with the UN Secretary General, who was in charge of the negotiations before they were deadlocked in 2017. So we haven't had talks since 2017 in Cyprus. Now the Secretary General is coming to Cyprus, and hopefully this will mobilize the interest for the peace negotiations. Next. Here, as I said, we also collaborate with the region. We had a very successful conference with women from the region and from Europe, discussing 1325 and what this meant in their own experiences. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your meaningful and inspiring presentation, Ms. Haji Pablu. Thank you so much. Thank you very much to all our distinguished speaker panelists for your insightful and inspiring presentation. Once again, let's give all of our speakers a warm round of applause. Now, we will be having the interactive peace dialogue and recommendation development session. In a few moments, participants will be automatically assigned to their breakout rooms. Each group will be facilitated by a moderator who will guide the discussion and help prepare a draft recommendation. During this session, participants are encouraged to discuss the Priority Peace Challenge, explore practical solutions, identify responsible stakeholders, and develop a clear recommendation together. You will have approximately 25 minutes for discussion. Please share your voices and enjoy your conversation. And we look forward to hearing your recommendation when everyone's returns. See you later. To those who are still in the main session, you will be automatically enter in the breakout session, so please wait for a while. To those who are still in the main session, kindly enter to our breakout room session. If you cannot automatically added, you can just join in our breakout room. Welcome back, everyone. We hope you had meaningful discussions and fruitful exchanges during the breakout sessions. Even though some of us were having some issue with the internet connection, but still we are overcame. We sincerely thank all of our participants, our moderators for your participation, thoughtful contributions, and valuable insights. Your engagement has truly enriched today's discussion. Before we invite each group to present its key recommendation, I would like to briefly introduce the next stage of this initiative. Today's forum is part of a wider global process. The recommendations developed across all four regional forums will be consolidated into the Global Women Peace Recommendation 2026 and presented at the 2026 International Women's Peace Conference, which will be held this September and in Republic of Korea. The International Women's Peace Conference is IWPG's annual global conference, bringing together government officials, representatives of international organizations, legal experts, academics, civil society leaders, and peace practitioners from around the world to share best practices, engage ideas, and strengthen international cooperation for peace. The QR code now displayed on your screen will take you directly to the conference registration page. On behalf of IWPG, I would like to warmly invite everyone participating in today's forum to join us at the conference in Korea this September. We sincerely hope to welcome many of you again in Korea as we continue this important journey together and further strengthen our global partnership for sustainable peace. Thank you for continued support and participation. We will now invite the moderator from each group to present the key recommendation from their discussion. Each group will have approximately 2 minutes. First, let us hear it from moderator Anisha. Moderator Anisha.
Sorry. Thank you, everyone. For our group, what we would say, government should reinforce like laws that protect women from violence, discrimination, and conflict-related harm, and ensure that these laws are actually implemented at a local level. Because among the speakers, we have people who have shared mostly
I think moderator Anisha have some difficulty with her internet connection.
uh,
Right, you can go on, moderator Anisha.
uh,
So we apologize for the inconvenience of our moderator Anisha since she's having some difficulty with her internet connection. I think we can move forward to the next moderator, moderator Evelina. Can you share your discussion regarding the recommendation?
Yes, thank you so much. So in our discussion, we could see that the key challenges are a lot of the increase of military or the conflicts that are going on in this region, and also injustice against women. They are deprived of school or even work. They are not able to partake in government or leadership positions, and are made to rely on the man in the relationship or the household, as they are forced into poverty, as they cannot work, they cannot participate in even the country's economy as well. So these are some of the key challenges. And then policy recommendations. First, we share that the more investment in women's leadership or involvement in government and the protection of women and children in these conflict areas, and also allocate more funds to women in leadership positions or government. Also more focus on grassroots and educating the women, especially of their rights, as many women do not even know their own rights that they have within the country. And then we also need to share the benefits of including these women in these discussions and in government, as if we can really see the benefits, then we can also create change. And lastly, we also need to highlight the gender persecution and gender violence, and how even these women issues can be used as a political tactic within these armed conflicts. So we also wanted to highlight this issue as well. Yes, and these are the key recommendations that we could discuss. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Moderator Evelina. So let's move forward to Moderator Saraina. Take it away.
Thank you so much. In our session, we mainly discussed the key challenges and recommendations for Lebanon, Pakistan, and Nigeria. And the key challenges were that women feel unsafe, the low participation of women in the peace-building processes, as well as political decisions, domestic violence, and economic challenges. And to address them, we proposed the following recommendations. So I think the topic raised the most was education, meaning also education, especially to shift the mindsets, but not only of women, but also for men, especially about women's rights. And the education for men and women should also be equal. So in both ways, there can be a respectful treatment between women and men. Then also to break down the barriers for media and laws. So from an early age, also women can feel empowered to participate in social and political decisions. Yes. This concludes our report.
Thank you so much, Moderator Saraina. So maybe we can move forward with Moderator Anisha. Is your connection is now stable?
Yes, so sorry. So I was mentioning that in our group, we mostly talk about how the government should reinforce like laws that protect women from violence. There was one person who shared from
I think Moderator Anisha's connection is not unstable again, but we are gladly thank all of you, all the participants, all the moderators, the speakers, for the excellent presentation and discussion. The recommendations shared today demonstrate not only the diversity of regional perspective, but also the common commitment we all share toward building sustainable peace. All recommendations developed through today's forum will be reviewed and incorporated into the Global Women Peace Recommendation 2026. As we conclude today's Global Women Peace Forum, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all our speakers, panelists, moderators, interpreters, volunteers, and participants. Your experiences, ideas, and commitment have made today's forum meaningful. We hope today's discussion will continue beyond this forum and inspire stronger cooperation for sustainable peace in every community. Thank you once again for joining us. We wish you a wonderful day and we look forward to seeing you again at 2026 International Women Peace Conference. This concludes today's program. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much.
You can now unmute and say thank you to everyone.
Thank you. Have
Thank
a great
you.
rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
See you on 2026 International
September.
Women's Peace Forum. See you in
September.
September. Thank you so much.